Hi there. I'm standing in front of two of the last of their kinds.
Surprisingly, we aren't in the Pacific Northwest or New England, where most of the Subarus are found.
No, but we are in Canada, which is basically third place. And we have two of the Subaru SUVs behind us.
So which one's better?
There's only one way to find out. Rare and exotic hypercars or supercars. You can go down to your used car lot and find one of these cars for pretty cheap.
But it's what brings the power from the engine to the wheels that make these cars so rare. The transmission.
About 25 years ago, you could find quite a few manual transmission cars.
But nowadays, about 90% of SUVs are automatic.
Or one of those stupid CVTs Subaru keeps on insisting to put in their cars.
All that's left are a few Jeeps, some cheap crossovers, and these.
So, which is best, the Subaru Crosstrek or the Subaru Forester? Let's take an in-depth look at both of these SUVs to see which Subie SUV is the best. Down. Now let's move into the interior. Now that we're inside, let's go over a quick overview of the interior of this car. The quality? It's terrible. The infotainment is also terrible. But there are some good things, however. One, this fake leather stuff.
Yay.
It's also pretty terrible too. As well as just the interior quality is so crap. I mean, this stuff was probably made by some Chinese car company that doesn't know how to make cars properly.
So basically it's terrible.
Yeah, so let's start it up and go over a little bit more of an in-depth look. Okay, let's first go over this terrible infotainment system once it loads properly. There we go.
Wonderful graphics.
The graphics are surprisingly good compared to most cars in 2013, but the touch response is also really bad, and it takes about an hour for it to actually do anything after you touch it. Another thing is you really have to push on the buttons, otherwise if you push on them too lightly they won't do anything. The menu systems are also really bad too, and if we go into the audio menu, you can see it's actually decently good. And you can choose from your AM, FM, or satellite radio systems on the left here, and then choose your channel on the right. Moving down here, we of course have the climate controls, which are pretty simple to use. It's a dual zone climate control, and it also has this cool knob thing in the middle to control how much air you want to come out. And then, down below here, we have some storage that's not big enough to fit a big phone in, and this shifter for the 5-speed manual that I was always wondering, could it be a 6-speed manual? Moving down here, we have this place here that's big enough to actually fit a large phone, although it does fall over every time you try to shift, and 2 cup holders, as well as some heated seat controls for the heated seats that take about 45 minutes to actually heat up properly. Moving over to the quality aspect, it's not soft touch anywhere, it hurts and it'll scratch you if you put any skin up against it. Moving over towards the top area up here, it has, of course, your climate controls, so when you're adjusting your climate, you have to look all the way up in front of you, which is probably pretty distracting while you're driving, and then we also have this cool little display here that's not a touchscreen that you can select using some things on the steering wheel. Moving over here, we have the gauge cluster, which is actually surprisingly good looking. And the speedometer goes up to 140 miles an hour, which seems a little bit misleading because I don't think this car can hit over 100. Yeah, that's basically it.
Just think of a Mazda 5.
Yeah, it's like a Mazda 5 in here.
Bad, by the way.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Terrible.
Bad.
Yeah, terrible.
Reminds me of you.
Yep.
Burn.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Now it's time to get inside this
Subaru.
Now that we're inside the Forester, let's check out the quality.
Seems familiar.
In fact, the entire interior seems familiar, and that's because it's basically the same thing, except for the fact that it has this here, which looks like came out of the 90s.
Also, the CD holder is absolutely useless unless you shove napkins into it, because it always goes flying around when you're driving. What is the use of it?
Okay, well, let's start it up. Put it in. We're greeted with a very familiar beeping noise, which is extremely annoying. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this radio thing that has buttons on it still.
I didn't know it was the 90s in here.
Yeah, I thought this car was made in 2015. I appear to be wrong. Very interesting.
We are accustomed to the usually
dual zone climate control, these cool little twisty knobs that are fun to twist. Moving down here, we have the heated seat controls, which are very large, and the shifter that car wanted to have. 6 speeds.
Unfortunately, though, you have to pull up to shift it. Very strange.
It's very strange as well, yeah. We also have cup holders with little flippy things.
Basically useless.
Yep.
Like most Subaru parts.
And we have this handbrake here. And the interior is filled with this cloth stuff, which has little 4 blue dots every couple of squares.
Fancy.
We also have these tinted black dome lights. And these much larger sun visor things with these mirror things.
And they pull out from the side.
Oh, that's cool. They also should do this. No, they don't actually mind. Okay. We also have this larger sunroof.
Quite nice. Except it's called a moonroof.
Moonroof, sorry.
No sued.
Very large.
Can't be sued.
Moonroof. And, yeah.
That's
nice.
it.
That's it. Yeah. It's not very interesting.
Also, the back, the AC does not work at all in the back. Pretty terrible.
Okay, that's fun too. And I'm sure these heated seats also take about an hour to heat up.
Fun.
Now let's take a look under the hoods of the 2.5 and 2.5 liters, although this does make 20 more horsepower than this somehow. So, the Subaru XV Crosstrek makes 148 horsepower, which is really weak, and it has only a 5-speed manual, so it always is revving way too high, and the sound is annoying, and the car has no power whatsoever. It does 0 to 60 in like 20 seconds, and overall it's just a terrible engine for terrible people. Moving over here, it doesn't actually get that much better, although there is 20 more horsepower, and the car does feel way more powerful, and you also have a 6-speed, so the car is, of course, less annoying, but it still has that 4-cylinder drone of the Boxer engine that nobody really likes to listen to. Yeah. Now it's time to look between their designs. So, you basically have this, which is a tall Impreza, which has been boosted up and to make it look like an SUV, even though it's just hiding the fact that it's a $20,000 economy.
Yeah.
And if you move over to this, that's more of the styling of a true SUV. It's an actual SUV body, not just some hatchback that's been boosted up, and it definitely has a way more rugged appearance to it.
The speed of the Subaru.
Oh yeah, so now we're inside the Subaru Forester. It immediately feels way more smooth, or way more stable and smooth than my Crosstrek. When I'm in my Crosstrek, it seems that the outside's basically the inside, and there's no sound insulation, there's no insulation at all. It basically feels like you're just driving on the road. And in this, it feels way more smooth, and it's a little bit quieter, and the car definitely feels like it has quite a bit more power. The Crosstrek, you notice it's probably much louder due to the engine. It has no power, so it needs to be, revving a lot higher. It also, you can hear everything, so when you're driving over snow, you can hear it all running through the tires, and you feel every single bump, every single little drop in the road, you can feel it in this car. And it's much louder, it doesn't feel as smooth going down the road, and it's just not a very pleasant experience being in this car. Crosstrek is also way less stable on the road too. Forester, and the gear change is also less smooth than on the Forester. So, which of these cars should we pick to win this head-to-head?
Should it be the Subaru Forester or the Subaru Crosstrek? Which one of these is better? You can say in the comments below.
And we'll reveal it to you in the next video. Or we can just tell you now. Personally, I think the Subaru Forester is a better vehicle. It feels nicer to drive in, and you don't technically feel like you're being dragged down the road by a truck.
Personally, I think the Crosstrek is a great vehicle if you want to abduct somebody, lock them in the trunk, and and make them have a terrible time.
Except for the fact there's no cargo capacity in the back of that car. So if you really want to abduct someone, maybe you should put them in the back of the Subaru Forester.
So remember that next time you want to abduct that annoying kid.
So, that concludes basically this head-to-head. Basically, if you want to abduct someone, put them in the back of a Subaru Forester. Thank you. See you next time.